Hello, ghouls and goblins. Chainsaw Valkyrie coming to you once again with another chapter from Tales from the Holler. This next story is out of this world, and pay attention because it might just introduce a very important character that you might see again. So pull up a chair for the crop circle critters from outer space. We were out in the corn just shucking some ears when me and my grandpa noticed something quite queer. Out in the midst of our autumn corn crop, there was something unique to the whole mountain top. Oddly shaped patterns depressed in our corn, mysterious shapes that mysteriously formed. Grandpa said, "Son, I have to attest, I am baffled as why our corn is compressed." What could it mean, this cornfield graffiti? I think we should summon the town sheriff Petey. The sheriff came out to our farm on the double, but he was perplexed by the source of the trouble. "It's certainly strange," he said, "but I wouldn't worry. It's not like you're dealing with that werewolf named Murray. I think these are harmless. I think he'll be fine. I think these are pranks and not portentous signs." The sheriff then told us to have a nice day. Then he got in his cruiser and drove straight away. Grandpa and I were left feeling forlorn, but returned to our duties of shucking the corn. The rest of the day we were both filled with fright. Both of us knew something just wasn't right. For the next couple days, strange things were occurring, like lights in the sky, with a strange sound of whirring. And a feller named Nathan claimed he was abducted, and probing experiments on him were conducted. There were strange mutilations of multiple cows. Folks became scared as their fears were aroused. We gathered at town hall to discuss our new plight. As the sun was just setting and day became night, people were anxious, they were nervous and manic, when Bobby Joe Shipley excited a panic. He said, "It's invaders from Mars, and they've come to snatch bodies. If you don't believe me, then just ask Sheila Dottie." She saw them beam up 2 goats and a plow. Then they beamed up a tractor, some corn, and a cow. They come here to launch a war from the stars. These predator things, these Martians from Mars. I've seen them lurking out there in the corn. We have to prepare. Now you all have been warned. Before we could rally, the creatures attacked. They launched their assault, and we tried to fight back. Nothing we tried could harm these invaders, not our guns or our knives or the forks for our taters. One of them ray-gunned Tanya Gale Mickle as she tried to lop off its big head with a sickle. This alien species was evil and vicious, and they thought we were snacks that would taste most delicious. They looked like reptiles, a sight to behold, some of them youngish while others were old. They had long slender fingers and big bulbous heads, and huge blaster guns to shoot you down dead. The carnage was great that these starmen inflicted. Their brutal endeavor went on unrestricted. The battle raged on well into the night, and it was quite clear that we were losing this fight. We ran for our lives to a neighboring farm, and we locked ourselves into the cow-milking barn. Inside the barn sat the owner of milking, and the milk in his bucket was smooth and looked silken. The owner was deaf and was quite unaware that we were caught up in a deadly nightmare. He was oblivious of this frightful occasion. He hadn't heard of the spaceman invasion. He had just sat there milking away. In fact, he had milked in the barn most of that day. His auto milker had broken that morning. The thing had gone down without any warning. So he had to do all his milking by hand. And the fruits of his labor, oh man, were they grand. The whole floor was covered in buckets a-brimmin' with sweet milky goodness that soon would need skimming. The farmer just finished with his cow Lulabelle, when outside the barn we heard a strange yell. It sounded like someone was shouting "Gack gack," and then on the door they commenced their attack. We all huddled close to our fortress of dairy. The moment was tense. It was stressful and scary. "That door it won't hold," an old lady noted, and just at that moment, the whole thing exploded. In poured the creatures, an army of many, and killed the old farmer and a cow he called Jenny. Then one of the tallest came after me next, and as he inched closer, I could see he was vexed. I never wanted an encounter this close. I was quite certain I was pale as a ghost. As the creature came near, he stepped in a bucket that read on the side, "Made in Nantucket." The alien menace screamed out in pain. As his leg blistered up, it turned red and inflamed. The bucket of milk, it burned him like acid. His skin, it was melting. It dripped, it was flaccid. This creamy white gift was unknown to his race. They had never encountered raw milk out in space. This calcium builder would be their undoing, as Lulabelle stood on her cud just a-chewing. The milk could be used like a chemical weapon. We now had the means of salvation, I reckon. The townfolk were waging a war with fresh milk on the alien horde and all of their ilk. Grandpa put milk in an old water sprayer, then went right to work as a lactosey slayer. One of our neighbors, a feller named Bruce, splashed a whole bucket of the bovinest juice in the face of the chief of the alien host, the meanest of all, who had butchered the most. He screamed and he fell in torment and pain as little white droplets continued to rain. Bruce wasn't stopping. He continued to pour as the alien leader lay dead on the floor. The rest of the spacemen, they made their retreat as fast as they could on their half-melted feet. The milk ate the creatures right down to the bone, and they all ran for cover and they left us alone. They ran for their ships, these crop circle critters, chased by an army of dip-chewing spitters, who pursued them with buckets of milky cow juice, led by my Gramps and by a feller named Bruce. Their ships blasted off to return them to space. They abandoned our world and they left not a trace, except for some circular shapes in the corn, and those of us left here to lament and mourn. They came from the stars to kill and enslave us, and thought nothing on here, on earth, that could save us. But earth it was saved by Lulabelle's milk, that was creamy and smooth like a bucket of silk. Who would have thought that this lactosey drink could have stopped an invasion and brought us back from the brink? The aliens left and they haven't returned. They flew away home with a hard lesson learned. Will they come back to invade us again? I do not know, but I'll tell you, my friend, that if you're out working on this old mountain top and find oddly shaped circles in your autumn corn crop, then you'd better prepare to defend your home place from the crop circle critters who come here from space. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and Facebook, and stay creepy.